Okay, in this tutorial, we're going to do a sales journal and a cash receipts journal. So the first thing we want to do, I'm in the master menu right now, and I want to go to my accounts receivable menu. So I do a 1, and number 3 in this menu is sales, payments, and adjustments journal. So there's 3 different possibilities. And the way that we cover that is we set them up as a transaction type 1, 2, or 3. So we're going to do invoices first. 0701-2015 to 0731-2015. And there are so many options here. We can do from and to a specific customer. And I have to tell you the story. We once had a sit-down powwow with a customer and, a final collection deal kind of thing. And we ran a sales journal for the entire year for a specific customer, and we could show exactly how much money they spent with us through the entire year. And it broke it down by hardware, software, etc., etc. So it's a pretty powerful tool. You just need to learn how to do these. So as an example, if I chose store number 10, I'm only going to get store number 10 sales. When you see this minus XX, that means if I do a minus 10, I'm going to get everything but store number 10. So if I hit return, I'm going to get all stores. One other thing is every field, if you put a question mark, it takes you to the help screen telling you what that field is being asking for. If I go down to the next one, the recon code is for paid bills. If there's nothing there, it's an unpaid bill. If it's paid, it's A through L, being January through December. Territory is something that we use. If I do 18, that's a Webasto product line. And I'm going to do that here because this is pretty important. If you agree to take on a product line, our shop order system, we use territory for product line because you're doing parts and labor and you're using the same parts, oil, grease, light bulbs, for all the different product lines. But how do you know how much money you're making on that? So by doing that, we're saying, hey, by store number 18, I want to know both parts, labor, grease, fuel, whatever. What's that product line doing for us? So just to make that real quick, I'm going to go all the way through this. And let's see what that product line did for us for the month. Okay, so let's just go to the last page. What you're seeing here is basically an invoice, sales tax, freight, the date it was actually input into payables. And typically on the receivable side, the input date and the invoice date are one and the same. But that's the shop repair order that it came from. So I'm going to go down to the very last page because this is where the real interesting information is. Okay, so of that product line, $422 went over the counter. The rest was income parts, income labor. In other words, this was actually, this particular product line, I'm going to go back one more page. This product line is for, oops, let me scroll up, for Webasto heaters. There we go. So for that particular product line, we did $13,000 a month. Is that worth stocking $100,000 worth of parts for? Probably not. So these are the kinds of decisions that you need to learn how to get a hold of. So, and of that, $422 went over the counter part sales. The rest were brand new Webasto units being sold. And what happens is when they install them, they create a shop ticket to install both parts and labor. And then the actual unit is the whole invoice all in one shot. So not a lot of money for that particular product line. So that being said, I'm going to leave that PDF there, and we're going to run that sales journal again. But this time we're going to do it for all product lines. 0701 2015, 0731 2015. And this time we're just going to let the whole gamut run. And it should pop up here in a sec. There we go. Okay, so this is a 48-page report. And, you know, I did it just to show a one line item. How much was the invoice? What was my freight? What's my profit percentage? And what's the shop repair order number or over-the-counter sales order that we used to make that sale? And as I scroll down, it gives me a grand total for the day. And this must have been a Saturday or a Sunday. Anyway, you get the gist. I'm going to go to the last page. That's where all the magic's at. 48. Okay, so this breaks down how much we did in labor administrative, labor overtime pay, standard time, income service parts, over-the-counter sales. I mean, look at this. And by the way that we're showing this is the way you would do a journal entry right into general ledger. When it's a negative, it's a credit for sales. So if you were putting this into an outside system, we're showing it the way you should be doing the journal entry. The other thing too is these are how many invoices hit that account. So 764. Let's scroll down the back. Oh, one other thing too, cycle counting. Well, they didn't do anything with it. Never mind. So they did 1.2 million for the month. And I want to go back a page even further. Because here what we're looking at, let me get to the headings here. Okay. So that's your store number. That's the branch, if you will. And branch number space is the main branch. And every customer comes from a different state. So whatever state they came from, we're just breaking down your summary table by where did that money come from? What state? So, and you're looking at your different branch, store number 10, and all the states that their money came from, branch number 20, 26, etc. So this is some pretty powerful stuff. Okay, now I'm going to go back a little further. Aside from that, now we're looking at the different product lines. Remember, we use territory on the work order system as what product line are you dealing with? This tells you in the shop, which handles multiple different facets. You do truck repairs, you do refrigeration installation, you do brake jobs. You might do Rig Master, I believe, is an external power. Greneveld is a greasing system, automatic greasing system for trucks. So here we're looking at, for 1 month, the revenue of multiple stores, if you will, but of the different product lines. And so remember when I did that number 18 for Webasto and it was $13,000, and we thought, well, that's not a whole lot of money. So here you could say, well, let me look at Thermo King. What did we do in both parts and labor? And, overtime and mileage and blah, blah, blah. So, okay, so I did the lump sum. Now I'm going to do one more here. I'm going to do a sales journal one more time. 0701 2015, same date range, 2015. Typically, this is kind of how you're going to want to do it for a month end. This time I'm going to say, show me the general ledger allocation. And in doing so, the report's going to look entirely different. Okay, so now we're showing the different general ledger revenue codes per invoice. Like here's sales tax. This is an over-the-counter part. There was freight on there. Let's go down a little further. Just something that should have. There we go. Here's a good one. So we got income, labor, mobile. And some shops have a different mobile rate for the, a different labor rate for mobile versus the shop rate. Service income parts. There's a bill for mileage. Shop supplies. That shop supplies number is a big number. Don't let that get away from you. Customers complain, you got to have it. Okay. Other than that, now that really extends the length of this report. If you look, we're at 175 pages. You store it in a PDF file, and if you're looking for a particular dollar amount, let me just go back to the top of this, 669. I'm going to do a Control F. If you're out of balance by something, 6.69. Go find it. Go find it. Go find it. A very, very important tool. So for month end, typically accountants want to see the journal entry, or the different GL distribution for general ledger, and then the last pages look the same. Nothing's different here. Okay, let's do one more here, and something else I want to point out. Let's do cash receipts first. So I'm going to go to number 3 again. This time I'm going to say show me a check register, and when you put stuff in, I want your checks to be dated the date of deposit, as we said in a previous training video. So I'm going to say 0701 2015 0731 2015, and basically when this prints out, it should match my daily bank deposits. So here we have the date of the check, and it's not the date that the customer dated it to you, it's the date you made a bank deposit. And this is really, really important, especially when you're trying to balance out. If you make a bank deposit at 2 o'clock, then all future cash receipts are put in the following day. Okay, now one thing to note, look at these input dates versus the date of that transaction. So some of these were actually dated into the future. This is how we simulate a batch, and I'm gonna go there for a second. Sometimes people will post activity into a closed month, and the way we find that stuff, let's say that I'm gonna say I want to find invoices from Infinity to 06/31/2015, but I want to see the ones that were put in after July 1st. Okay, this would be people posting invoices into a closed month technically. And so when you're looking for an out of balance condition, this is how you find it. This simulates a batch. You're dating your invoices accordingly here, but you don't get the choice to pick the date that you input it. But we record that so we can simulate a batch. Let's see what we get. This is probably more prevalent in accounts payable. Invoices may not have it happen. Okay, we got one. So there we go. You're out of balance by $3,100. Now you know why. Okay, that pretty much sums up what I needed to do. I hope that answered most of your questions. Thanks for watching.